Hey everybody. Well, it hasn't crashed yet. Oh, maybe they fixed this darn thing. Doggone Twitch yesterday. Crashed on me several times. It wouldn't let me stream yesterday. I got a few minutes in and it crashed. And I was not the only one. I looked up earlier and a lot of people had troubles yesterday, even people in chat. So, welcome to the Weather Command Center. I do have a September goal down there at the bottom. So, hopefully things go good tonight. Cat, be careful with that Mini. It doesn't have the sensor for collision. That's the one thing I don't like about the Mini. That and it's so darn light. Whoa, I got an echo. Hang on. There we go. So, what's this beast doing? It's just hanging out and chilling. Let's get over to the studio so you can see over my shoulder. This is the up-to-date. That intro video is from yesterday. So you don't see an eye on it anymore. I can come over here to full screen. You don't see the eye anymore. So it's doing some restructuring, and notice the left side of this thing, the west side. It's a little void. So we got a little bit of wind here. If you look at the clouds here, we got some wind shear coming up. So that's kind of shearing it. Now, last night, God, I hate this program. Last night at 11 o'clock, this thing went Cat 5. This morning, Cat 5, by the way, is 157 mile per hour. This morning, it went up to 167 mile per hour, the last that I seen. Some of the dropsons were showing much higher than that. I seen a Twitter post from a storm chaser said that one of the dropsons showed over 200 mile per hour. I'll take that with a grain of salt because I didn't see it. But it definitely was 167 mile per hour early this morning. Yes, I stayed up all night again so I could get my grandson up for school at 7 this morning. But it's weakened down. It's weakened down. It's down to a Cat 4. At one point this morning, they said by this time of day, it was forecasted to be as high as 185 mile per hour. And it didn't quite get there. So, as you can see on that eye, it looks like it's trying to do a little restructuring. This is the infrared satellite. So, a lot of tall storms on the southern side. As I zoom in here, all these grays and purples showing up. Actually, that purple is some lightning in there. And the center is north of that, where it's at right now. So let's get over to the specs over here on monitor 6. We got two systems out here. Now, I tried to say yesterday, I wonder what Margot is going to do and how it's going to influence Hurricane Lee. And it could in some respects, not directly, but it could influence the high pressure that's to the north. We'll have to wait and see. So for right now, I was hoping to get an intermediate update. Let me refresh the page. We're not getting an intermediate update. So it's 150 mile per hour Cat 4. Now, early this morning, the millibars was 926. Now it's 942. Yes, it is weakening a little bit. It's west-northwest. It's been doing that since last night. 13 mile per hour now, 14 mile per hour early this morning. Margot, it's just a tropical storm. I mean, you wouldn't think, well, okay, how's this going to influence when it's going up here when Lee's going over around by Bermuda? Well, I'll show you in the models how this could affect things. Let's just do this cone here. I'll put the track on. Now notice there's a little bit of a wobble here as I zoom in on it. There's a little bit of a wobble here. That's a sign that it's going to slow down. So, yeah. By the way, Kat, it's official. FCC has postponed remote ID. The Pilot Institute said that they're trying to get the FAA to put it off until March of next year. We don't know just yet how long it's going to be postponed, but it is official. Remote ID for your Spark has been postponed for now. So be sure to check out Pilot Institute on YouTube, Kat. Really great bunch. So all these increments here at the beginning of the cone, these are all every 12 hours if you notice. So that means this one should be 2 p.m. Monday. They didn't put a time on it. And all of a sudden it jumps 24 hours before it gets to this one. That tells me right there it's going to slow down. And these things can do some funky things when they slow down. By 2 p.m. Wednesday, actually the cone is saying it's going to weaken all the way down to 125 mile per hour. We'll have to wait and see. I'll tell you guys about Sean in a little bit. Let's get through the hurricane stuff because this is more important. There's been some changes with Sean. I'll explain later. But while I got over 50 people here, they come to see the tropical weather. So the title's going to have to change soon. Yeah. So there's not much to show you on this because a lot of this is going to change over the next several days. And remember, as I show you the models are going to change. We got 2 hurricane hunters out there right now, by the way. We got a C-130J, that's the big boy. And then we've got an Orion out there right now. And they're going to be flying some more overnight, I do believe. So everybody is worried about this thing making landfall, because when you look at this cone, you know, when you look over here, is that going to hit for the Carolinas? No, it's not. And people are freaking out, man. I'm seeing all kinds of crap on YouTube, man. Some clickbait and all kinds of crap. And I'm going to show you why that's not going to work. I got some real good information to pass on. So let's go ahead and look at the forecast models. And first off, let's look at the Western Atlantic. And here he is. Here's my oldest brother right here. But what I want to look at first off is the vorticities at 5,000 feet. So this is where it's at right now. It's east of Puerto Rico by quite a ways. Now, keep an eye. Let me zoom in here a minute. Keep an eye on these circles as I show you this. Okay? They're real tight and real close. Look how the center's real black. Keep an eye on that too as I move this forward. Now, even though it's weakening at this point, I think it might be starting to go through an eye wall replacement. That is typical for all Cat 4 and Cat 5 hurricanes, by the way. So I do believe it's going to go back to Cat 5 again, or at least back to real strong Cat 4. Now, notice this energy up here in the top left. That's a trough building up. This is clear out to the 13th, and look what happens. It starts to turn. Now, this is a GFS, so let's go North Atlantic and see what it does. Now, here's Margot. So, let's go back. Let me backtrack a little bit and zoom in. What we got up here is high pressure. That is high pressure. If you look at these wind barbs, they're clockwise. So that's influencing Lee. So the winds are coming around and it's trying to drive Lee to the west. However, we got a low pressure system way up here and a trough that's going to set up. Now, it's going to be real critical when that trough sets up and what the high pressure does. It's going to depend on where Lee goes. So let's go ahead and move this forward. And this thing could wobble as it slows down. It could wobble and go due west for just a little ways. But watch this high pressure right in here. And here comes Margot. And it's like, I want to join the party too. And look how it squashes out and changes that high pressure. That opens the gateway, just like Hillary did and Adelia. It opens this gateway with this trough over in here. We got this trough building up. That's going to want to pull. That's going to want to pull Lee, right? And then the high pressure, which is weakening up here, is going to want to bring it around that way. And that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping this thing stays pretty and doesn't affect a whole lot of people. Now, this is a GFS, but look how broad these circles are. Look how broad. This is going to be the wind field, folks. I can't draw very good. My hand shakes too much. So, the East Coast will get affected. It will get affected. And one of the reasons, like I was trying to show you guys last night, let's look at the sea surface temps. See this blue water? All this blue water? That's cooler than average water. The reason why is that's where Franklin and Adelia went. By the way, Adelia is up here and it's going to shift out. But when Lee comes up here and hits these cooler waters, it's going to weaken. And when it weakens, because it don't have the fuel, it needs that warm water, 80 plus temps for fuel. And this is not it. And like I always say, when a tropical system weakens, it will get whiter. And that's exactly what we was seeing on the models. I mean, that's the anomaly, the difference of temperature from average. So, I mean, there's still probably fairly warm waters, but not warm enough. So Margot's going to come up here and say, hi, get up out of here. We don't want you no more. And it's really going to depend. And if you look here, this is quite a ways out, but here's this ridge. Okay, here's the high. And then here comes that trough. That's it over here. So that's going to open up the gateway for it to come north, and that's what we want. But watch the rain. Look how big the rain gets. You know how wide and how these wind. Not the wind barbs, these black lines, the equal lines of pressure, how tight they get, especially over here on the east side. So now I want to look at, let's look at the surface winds. And I'll change region here. Now it's not giving me the one that I want. Well, this will work. Look at these strong winds. This is surface-based winds, 10 meters, about 30 feet, and the lines of equal pressure. Now, this is pretty far out. This is 7 days out, folks. So, take this with a grain of salt at this point. But look how strong these winds are. I mean, we're talking over 50-mile-per-hour winds smacking the coast right there as this thing comes up. Now let's also take a look. Significant wave height. This is one thing we got to be concerned about. Yesterday's European model was showing 33 to 38 foot waves hitting the coast as she comes up. Now these deep reds right in here, that's over 20 feet. So this part right here, this kind of concerns me a little bit. That's going to be hitting all that coast from the Outer Banks all the way up. So it's not, even though if it makes that little bit of a right jog over the next 24 hours, and it looks like it's heading for Florida, don't worry, Florida, it's not. Everything is on, well, let me put it this way. All the models are being pretty consistent about this. So Florida's not going to get hit. I would just about lay money on it. It's not going to get hit. But there's going to be rip currents. Hey, Lisa. Yeah, Martha's Vineyard, all up in there. There's going to be some wind action. There's definitely going to be some pretty big waves, some nice swells. The surface will love the hell out of it. But don't go to the beach when this thing comes up that way. Again, that was 7 days out. I hate to go past 4 or 5, tell you the truth. So, it's a little too far out to tell. We got to wait till it makes that turn. That's the reason why that cone is so short compared to what I'm showing you guys. So Nova Scotia, keep an eye on this thing. It could do what Fiona did last year. So, and this thing's taking a similar path to what Fiona did. But definitely strong winds up and along the coast, rip currents, large waves. When this thing gets up next week, gets up around off of the Outer Banks, there's the frying pan cam, and I'll start looking at that and showing you guys that. Because that sticks out there like 30 some miles off the coast. We should be able to get a pretty good look as this thing goes by. But the setup of that high pressure and how it shifts, and Margot kind of helps open that door up on the western side of the ridge, and when that trough comes in. So we're over a week out. But some have said that by Sunday, day after tomorrow, some of the East Coast will start seeing some of the wave action and rip current risk. Worry more about that in a couple days. But depending on how that trough comes down, which is going to be great for a lot of people because that trough's bringing cooler air down, just like this last one did. I mean, I'm only 70 degrees right now and only got up to 74 all day. But that trough will help pull it, and the high pressure spinning around and shoving it, it very well could go straight at Nova Scotia, but it's way too far out. So yeah, that cooler weather, oh man, it was so nice when I walked over to the store earlier. So, but yeah, this thing, it's not looking healthy like it did yesterday and early this morning. Had a beautiful eye this morning, but the eye kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and it might be trying to go through an eyewall replacement. Yeah, up and down the East Coast, man, has some pretty strong storms and some really big temps. I want to show you guys something really cool. This is from the Hurricane Hunter last night. So take a good gander. This was a screen recording I did. Let me pause this. What you're looking at is a hurricane hunter inside of the eye. Come on, it won't let me draw. What's up with that? Oh, there we go. This is the top of the eye wall. You're looking up in space right here. And if you keep a close eye out, you'll see a star up here. But watch how intense this lightning is. This is nuts. Right there is a star. That's from inside the eye wall. And you could tell by looking at it that that eye wasn't very big when they did this. Isn't this wild? Yeah, look at the star up here. Ain't that cool? Now, I think that one thing up here might actually be the moon, and then it gets hit by a flash from the lightning. So that, yeah, it was great stadium effect. I thought that was so cool. If you guys didn't see the intro, where did it go, George? This is from yesterday. This was my intro yesterday when I was trying to stream. Look at all these eyebrows flowing out. That's the upper level outflow. This thing was breathing like it was souped up on a lot of oxygen. But then when we turn around and look at the way she looks right now, let me pause this, zoom out a little bit. She's a little flattened out over here, but like I said, we got a lot of wind shear happening on this side. That's kind of holding it back a little bit. Again, it might be going through an eye wall replacement. It looks like on this frame, the eye wall is trying to form again about right in there. Let's see, there was something else. Let's look at the jet stream over here on monitor 6. So here's your jet stream up here, right? And when that trough happens, it's going to put a dip in that jet stream. You can see these lines are starting to dip right in here. And here's Lee. I'll take you 7 days out first. Look at this strong jet stream. Really strong, and I'll zoom in on this. Really strong dip. This is that trough that I was talking about. That's going to help pull Lee to the north. And look where the high pressure is, way up here. So here's Margot. Margot's got a little bit of influence, even though it's not direct. I really, it's so hard to tell at this point. Now that's the GFS. Let's go over here and look at the Euro. Euro doesn't have the jet stream near as strong at this point, but Lee's pretty much in the same place. Oh, there the jet stream really kicks in. A big trough action happening right here, and that should help to keep, if this plays out, this trough, if the timing of this trough gets there when Lee does, and we got a little high pressure right here. That's going to keep that going up towards Nova Scotia, as you can see right there. All the models are being really consistent. That's not the one I want. That's not the one I want. Daggone it. Okay, here we go. The Outer Banks are going to be affected since they bulge out there. But, so here's Lee. This is 7 days out. So, a lot of this is going to change, folks, over the next week. But I'll zoom in on this. What we're looking at here is, here's that low pressure system and this trough that's setting up. And here's the high pressure that was down here where Margot was. It shifted that far north, okay? Now let's go back and follow. The reds is the high pressure, the blues is the low pressure. Come on. See this blue right here? That's that trough setting up. And then you can see how it pulls Lee to the north. Like I say, this is 168 hours out at 168 hours out. That's 7 days out. Okay. So we got to wait till it gets over here in the next few days and let the models get some more data in them. You know, there at first, Hurricane Center was only going by satellite presentation. And yeah, as this thing runs over that cooler water that Franklin and Adelia left behind, which, by the way, that cool surface sea temperature, it could rebound. It can rebound within a few days, maybe not even for a month. So if it rebounds, and that's going to be another key of how strong this thing is when it comes up that way, when it comes up north, is does that colder water rebound and get warm again? It can happen. Usually it takes quite a long time. So anyway, if it's still cooler water, no, it's not going to hit North Carolina. The winds and the waves will hit the coast, but no, this thing it's so far, all the models has got it moving to Nova Scotia, or some of the tracks could turn it out to sea. I'll show you the ensembles a little bit, but when it runs over that cooler water, it's going to weaken. Whenever a tropical storm weakens, it slows down and the wind field grows. It gets bigger. The faster it spins, it pulls all that into it. So, as of right now, the only influence to the United States is going to be rip currents, some good waves, especially the Carolinas north. Really big waves in that. Now, all of this could change, so don't write this in stone. All this could change. Let me go over here. And first I'll show you over on monitor 6. Some of the models is still having it going up to a Cat 5. Most of them have it staying down here in the Cat 4 range. But this is the reason why I say it is possible that it could go back to Cat 5 again. Okay? Now, as far as the ensemble models, come on. Now, this morning, some of these ensembles actually had it coming up here. There was a few of them that had it coming up this way. But the biggest consensus of the models is where you see all these other lines right now. So see how close together they are down here at the bottom? This is more realistic right now. Once you get out to this line, anything past that, we don't know for sure. We don't know for sure. What we do know is as that trough comes, dips down along the coast, that's going to pull it north. The high pressure on the east side of it will turn it north. So Florida should not, at this point, be affected other than some rip currents. So that's going to be the main threat, is the rip currents. And here you can see the hurricane guidance, and see how they're all bundled up together till you get about right here, and then they're not quite sure. That's just too far out. So this will be past Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, and then the thing should start to turn north. Now, a few of these models have it doing a wobble before it turns north. If it does that, then it could influence the East Coast a little bit stronger. But as of today, this moment in time, the significance of time. Oh no, we don't want to start that shit. Most of you probably know what I'm talking about there. The significance of time. That's because it's significant, and it's got something to do with time, right? Anyway, in this moment in time, that's what I have for the models. And where we think it's going to go. Let me double check and see if I've gotten an intermediate update. Since the hurricane hunters are out there gathering data, we probably won't get an update until 11 o'clock. They generally give an 8 o'clock intermediate update, but not seeing it. Not seeing it. Any questions? I tell you what was crazy is in the East Pacific, what's the name of that thing out there? Hoba. We had Hoba, and it was a Cat 5. It's down to a Cat 1 now. But it was all the way up to a Cat 5. And so we had a Cat 5 in the East Pacific and a Cat 5 in the Atlantic. How often do you hear that? Indoor wind up in western New York State and western Quebec. It's, to tell you the truth, it's too far out, but yes, I think so at this moment. Looking at the Euro, the GFS, the EC Fast, the hurricane models, which don't quite go out far enough yet. The lines up towards Nova Scotia. Yeah, but it doesn't go that far out exactly. And if you noticed in the ensemble lines, it really spreads out. So it's too early yet. But I do, expect if this thing hits the cooler waters, it's going to expand its wind field. It's going to bring some rain, maybe some possible flooding up in the Northeast. So we got to wait and see, folks. We got to wait and see. It's just way too early to tell. We got to get that thing to make that turn first, and then we're going to have a better idea what it's going to do. So the hurricane hunters, 2 of them's out there now, 2 of them going out there later. Let's see here. Let's take a look at what they're doing out there. 958 millibars. That's kind of in the center. So one of them's crisscross. This is the C-130 up here. That's the C-130, the big boy. Yeah, hang your bloomers on the clothesline. So let me turn off the C-130. So right here's the Orion. It's doing some crisscrossing. Let's Let's see, what's the altitude? It's not telling me. Let's take a look at this drop zone. Ragged eye, that's what I'm seeing. Elliptical, oval shape, it's not circular. Major axis elliptical aisle, 10 miles. 10 miles by 8 miles. This wasn't in the eye, it doesn't look like. I don't do flu shots. I never got the jab either. I don't believe in that crap. So not getting much information other than they found 958 millibars. It's in the 940s right now. So we got to let them finish doing their little thing. What's the C-130 doing? He's up here. What's his observation? Flight level winds 49 knots, over 50 mile an hour. Let's see. They're about 579 miles away from Puerto Rico. Impossible to determine due to darkness, some other cause. Radar captivity, yes, so they are getting some radar stuff. This is actual data, by the way, from that C-130. I get this stuff in real time. So just so you get orientation, this is the northern part of the Leeward Islands over here. This is Puerto Rico here. And let's turn on the geocolor. So there it is with the satellite turned on, so you can get a reference. Now, where did the Orion go? Okay, the Orion's looking for the eye. That's the Orion right here. So, C-130, he's kind of flying higher altitude right now, going around, and the Orion is searching for the center. Like I told you, and I'll turn this off for a minute, the eye may be trying to form again. Right now we're not really seeing it on visible. So, whoops, hit the wrong one. My hand shook. I hit the wrong button. So, anything else, folks, that I can help you with tonight? Seemed like there was something else I was going to show you. Oh, yeah. I mentioned Fiona. Fiona last year, September 14th. This was Fiona's track. As you can see, it went through the islands down here and crossed over there in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, and then went to the west side of Bermuda. Pretty much the same thing that Lee's supposed to do. And it was a Cat 4, Fiona was, when it was just off the west side of Bermuda. And this is what Fiona looked like last year. I'll freeze it here. That's black dot there. That's Bermuda. And this went up and hit Nova Scotia. All right. That's all I've got as far as the tropical stuff. I talked to my son earlier, and mainly what I got out of him was he just got out of a surgical procedure. Apparently that infection that he's got, he had pockets of the infection. They went in there and drained it with a needle. They still can't scope him until next week. They got to get this infection under control before they can do the scope. So that's pretty much it. When I talked to him yesterday, he sounded a whole lot better, but he just got out of that procedure when I called him earlier, and he says, "Let me call you back on Monday." So he was pretty out of it, and he told me what they was going to do yesterday, and it's like, no, you didn't. You didn't tell me they was going to do a surgical procedure. Yeah, I did. So he's been drugged up so much on Roxy's and probably some Dilaudid to help with the pain that he don't remember what he told me and what he didn't. So that's about all I know on him. So he's definitely going to stay in the hospital over the weekend, and I'm going to have to see if I can get a neighbor to take me to the store because we're running low on food. And so that's probably what I'm going to do tomorrow. My next door neighbor here, I'll get her to take me if I can walk. I might have to take a wheelchair with me. So there was something else I was going to mention. Like I say, I was up all night so I could get my grandson up for school. Thank goodness I don't have to worry about that tomorrow. I did get a few hours sleep today, but we'll make things work out. It's going to get a little tight since he's off work. And I'm probably going to get a hold of the landlord and see about holding off on paying the rent right now until he gets back to work. So that's pretty much it, folks. Pretty much it. I've been pretty stressed out. I'm, still pretty tired. I'm going to take tomorrow off as far as, streaming because we're really not going to know very much until Sunday or Monday. Again, they might start feeling some waves and some rip current risk along the coast come Sunday. I'll know more about that tomorrow and early Sunday. So I might do a Sunday night stream, but it looks like this thing's really not going to turn north until Monday or Tuesday. Depends. If it slows down, it'll be Tuesday. If it goes, starts speeding back up again, it'll be Monday. So I'm going to take the weekend off and try to get caught up on some stuff that my son normally does, but he's in the hospital. So that's all I got for tonight, folks. Thank you very much. I didn't see any new subs, so we do have the subathon going on for September. It is September, so we'll catch up with you guys here in a couple days. So thanks, love y'all. Thanks for all the prayers. We're going to need them. So I think his condition is a little bit more serious than what he's been telling me. So I'm about to call the hospital and find out. So everything looks like it's going to turn north, and we ain't got nothing to worry about for a little while. So peace, Papa Top for me, and I'll catch you on the next broadcast. Love y'all. Stay safe.